What's up, football world? I am Bucky Brooks. This is the Bucky Brooks Show presented by FanDuel. I'm excited to be here because, look, we're right on the eve of preseason week 1 kicking off. We have a game on Thursday night, the Indianapolis Colts and the Baltimore Ravens. I'm excited to be in studio for that. I'll be in NFL Network doing pre- and post-game show with some of my buddies, so that'll be fun. Going down to Jacksonville this weekend, Saturday. Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers come to town to take on the Jags. So you got a little bit of that storyline. Is Aaron Rodgers going to play at all? And then you have Travis Hunter and his debut as a two-way standout. So we'll talk about that later in the podcast. But I want to start out early in the week. I had an opportunity to go to Oxnard, California to see the Dallas Cowboys, some would call America's team, in a joint practice session against the LA Rams. And the reason I was really excited to see this is because the Rams right now are the team that I would say are a dark horse contender in the NFC. Last year, they took, the Eagles to the championship rounds of a heavyweight fight. Didn't win on the cards, but man, they really set themselves up to be a team that we talk about being one of the last ones standing in the NFC. And anyone who has been around that team, anyone who has been around Sean McVay, knows that when this team comes to town, they're what we call thermostat leaders. They change the temperature of the room based on how they walk out, how they compete. And if you're not ready to deal with the Rams' energy, man, they will overwhelm you. And I thought that was a thing because I know so many people that come from the Rams. Maurice Jones-Drew, who's a dear friend of mine, works for the Rams. He always talks about the Ramily and the culture and those things. So I was really curious in terms of like how they carry themselves and what it looks like. I got to tell you, man, when you're around the Rams, the culture is real. And what I mean, everyone talks about the buzzword culture and the environment, the ecosystem that they're in. But I got to tell you, man, just watching the Rams in comparison to Cowboys, and we'll talk about the Cowboys in a minute, but when the Rams walk out, there's a confidence and a swag to them that is directly connected to the confidence and the swag of the coach. There's an energy to the way that they go about their thing. And it's not overdone. It's not like collegiate level enthusiasm, but there's a bounce in their step where they know that they're good. And for me, it is really remarkable to watch a team that has so many young players, so many guys that were drafted mid to late rounds that are thrust into prominent roles, have this kind of swag. And when I think about the Rams, last 2 years, they started out, man, bad, 1-4. Each year, bounced back and made the playoffs in both of those years. And so there's a resilience that comes with that swag that makes them a team that feels like a championship team. Bill Walsh had an old saying that, look, the behaviors precede the results, meaning the character, the way that you conduct yourself, you have to act like a champion before you can be champions. Being around the Rams, they kind of exude that kind of championship confidence and swagger. You may want to watch them as one of the teams that could be a dark horse contender that emerges out of nowhere to be maybe the number 1 seed in the NFC. Let me talk about what I saw when I watched the Rams. Matthew Stafford wasn't participating, so this was Jimmy Garoppolo's show. And what was interesting in watching Jimmy Garoppolo throw the ball all over the yard against the Cowboys is the connection that he had with Davante Adams. Wow. They were tearing up the Cowboys offensively, and Davante Adams was on the receiving end of a bunch of big plays. And if you go back to during their time with the Las Vegas Raiders, Davante Adams and Jimmy Garoppolo were not always on the same page. So it speaks to the level of coaching. It speaks to the environment that the Rams have where these guys are not only on the same page, but when given an opportunity to step in for Matthew Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo looked like a high-end starter, tossed the ball to Davante as he was doing this thing on the perimeter. The other thing that stood out to me with Davante is the combination of him and Puka Nacua on the perimeter, a challenging duo to defend because both guys are terrific route runners. Both guys are excellent ball catchers in terms of the ball can be off the mark and they'll go get it. But both guys are really competitive in a very calm, cool, collected way of doing it. And so that calm, cool demeanor allows them to go stretches without touching the ball, but still maintaining their focus and their edge. That's going to matter because the running game that they have with Kyron Williams, who signed the extension the day that I was there, averaging 11 million per. Man, they are one of the teams that has it all offensively. When Matthew Stafford is there, elite quarterback, 2 elite receivers, big time running back that you may not call elite, but very, very good, outstanding. So this is a team that offensively can get after it. And then on defense, man, they just bring the wood and bring the energy. Young, feisty, hungry defense. All the pieces of the puzzle fit together. And it starts with Jared Verse. He's kind of the straw that stirs the drink. Confidence, swag, nastiness, can get after you, and the team follows his lead. So whether he's on the field or off the field, he's barking, they bark after that. And so you just feel this energy about them that you know that they're going to be one of those teams that you're going to have to deal with if you're going to get into the postseason. So it's great to see the Cowboys take them on. On the other side, I was really fascinated by the Cowboys, obviously, because the number one story in the NFL right now is Michael Parsons and the contentious contract negotiations that he's engaging in with Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones felt like they had a handshake agreement. Michael Parsons wanted to loop in his agent. All of these things are being kicked around. And I'm going to say the scuttlebutt is a distraction from what Michael Parsons is doing that I Bleav is going to help him go to the next level in terms of being a great teammate and a leader. Michael Parsons has shown up. He's operating business as usual. He's very vocal. He is engaged in the process when you see him on the side. Even after demanding the trade, he still was there the next day in his uniform, jersey, on the sideline, encouraging teammates, talking, breaking down plays, and those things. So it certainly doesn't appear that he wants to walk the plank, but maybe he felt like he had no option given the fact that they haven't gotten this deal done. In the end, to me, this is what we call a negotiation. A negotiation typically doesn't get done until you near the end of the deadline. The deadline for me would be the regular season opener in terms of this team needs to have Micah in the right frame of mind, ready to play. So in a couple more weeks, I would anticipate Michael Parsons and the Cowboys coming to an agreement that makes him like one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. He's going to shatter that $40 million mark that we've seen TJ Watt and Myles Garrett surpass. Michael Parsons is next on deck, and he should get paid. Now, thinking about the Cowboys, you can't talk about the Cowboys without the new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer takes over for Mike McCarthy, and the buzz around camp has been so positive in terms of who Brian Schottenheimer is, how he's changed the way that the Cowboys are doing business, and just the overall vibe around the team. I'll say this, and full disclosure, I played for Brian Schottenheimer's dad, Marty Schottenheimer, in Kansas City, 97, 98. I would say arguably one of the best coaches I ever had, worthy of being a gold jacket coach with 200 wins on the resume. And going back to my time in Kansas City with Marty, look, Marty kept it really simple. The main thing is the main thing. As long as you keep the main thing, you're going to have success. Before you can win, you have to learn how to not lose, how to avoid losing. So that was turnovers, big plays allowed, penalties, silly stuff that cost you in action. And then there was a blueprint and a formula that always puts you in a position to win games at the NFL level. Run the ball, play great defense, exhibit a level of physicality that puts you on the edge of being recognized as a bully, and then finish the game with force when you have an opportunity to finish it. Meaning, let's lean in the running game. Let's make sure we get all those things done when they need to get done in the fourth quarter to salt games away. When I look and observe Brian Schottenheimer, it is similar messages, but in a different package. Brian Schottenheimer is very confident. He appears very comfortable in his own skin. He has a poise about him that belies the inexperience that he carries into the role. But he's as connected as I've seen a young coach be with players. Every coach daps up, fist bumps every player in the stretch line. There's a concerted effort by the coaching staff and the team to interact and intertwine in each other and be on the same page. When I had a chance to talk to Malik Hooker about it, he talked about how the relationship piece is really significant and how it's been really impactful. And they have known forever that they've had a team that is talented enough to keep getting to the highest level. But it's the first time in the building they feel like they're connected enough to be able to get this done, that the chemistry The connectivity is different than it's been. And a lot of that has been driven by Brian Schottenheimer being very intentional about creating that kind of vibe around the team. Speaking of the team, man, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, when you watch them, you can't take your eyes off of them. They are the perfect complementary tandem on the perimeter, whether it's CeeDee Lamb doing his dirty work over the middle, catch and run specialist, or George Pickens expanding his game, but retaining the ability to be a vertical specialist. Dak Prescott can deliver some big plays in the passing game because now he has the ability to stretch the field while also having someone that can work the underneath areas and make it happen. Great addition in George Pickens. When you talk to people, he's been on his best behavior. He has been terrific as a number one receiver, meaning he has expanded the route tree and looks good doing it. A lot of positive signs that you want to see from the Cowboys, and we've seen them. Offensive line has been beat up a little bit with injuries, but that offensive line is as good as it comes. And when they are healthy and ready to go, they move people off the ball. And in moving people off the ball, they now create opportunities to dictate the terms and to take those deep shots in the passing game, because play action in a vertical pass game, man, it works like peanut butter and jelly. If the offensive line sets the tone and they get any production from one of the backs in the backfield, you will see CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens get busy with big numbers, because you can't defend everything. And more times than not, you're going to stop the run, and that leaves some big play opportunities through the air. Last thing when it comes to the Cowboys, defense, work in progress, has some struggles. Pass rush is not there. Obviously, you don't have Michael Parsons. That's a huge loss because you don't have that dominant pass rusher. But coming together under Matt Eberflus, one of the things that's a hallmark of his team, they hunt the ball. They go after it. They poke, they prod, they swipe at it. They do a ton of turnover drills, because the number one deciding factor in football is the ball and how many turnovers you have, winning plus minus turnover margin. You win it more likely than anything. You win the turnover battle, you're going to win the game. Everyone knows that. That's why Flus puts a huge emphasis on that. So it's just great to watch. I'll say Dak Prescott looked good, made some plays. There was a lot of conversation when I was there about Joe Milton, the backup quarterback. One of the things that he did is, man, his arm talent is real. Still trying to put it together in terms of progressions and knowing where he needs to go with it. But in terms of a pure talent, that pure arm talent is going to keep him around 5 or 6 years in the league. And if he's able to eventually process and go through reads and mechanics and all that, I mean, you talk about someone who has the traits and the skills to be a star. You just have to see how it materializes going forward. Let's now begin to talk about, on the other side, some other things that are bubbling up around the league. And as we're nearing the weekend, we are beginning to hear more about Shedeur Sanders having an opportunity to start. And this is huge news in the NFL world, because for so long this offseason, all we've heard about when it comes to Shedeur Sanders is Shedeur is not getting enough reps, not working with the ones, working with the threes off on the side field. This Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel. Well, lo and behold, ahead of the first preseason game, Kenny Pickett is dealing with a hamstring injury. Dylan Gabriel is dealing with another minor injury. It has created an opportunity for Shedeur Sanders to get the start. And the reason why it's important for him to get the start now instead of Joe Flacco is because Flacco is going to get plenty of opportunities. The Browns aren't playing the one, so why put your starting quarterback out there? So let Shedeur Sanders get to work. The reason why this is a great opportunity for him to seize maybe a bigger role than they had for him is because he gets a chance to maybe play 3 quarters as the starting quarterback. Even though he hasn't worked with the ones and twos a lot, they gave him 2 or 3 days notice to get ready to do it. So if I'm Shedeur Sanders, this is a terrific opportunity, one that I would say is a no-lose opportunity. Because let's be real, Shedeur Sanders came in as a 5th-round pick. So as the 5th-round pick, he deserves to be 4th on the depth chart because Joe Flacco was signed, free agency. Kenny Pickett comes over. Joe Flacco had been there before, and they won with him, went to the playoffs with him. So naturally, Joe Flacco goes in front of Kenny Pickett. And then Dylan Gabriel is the 3rd-round pick, which naturally makes him as the 3rd-round pick higher than the 5th-round pick Sanders, which makes him perfectly slotted in at 3. Sanders can overtake both of those guys with a solid performance this week that sets the table up next week to figure out who gets those jobs. 3/4 of work against 2s and 3s, doesn't matter. It is more about the mechanics and how he operates and directs the offense. In and out the huddle, does he know what he's supposed to do? Does he do it? Can he give us anything that is unscripted to make us better? If he can do any of those things, now it changes the conversation and the narrative about not only is he making the team, but do we need to get him ready to play because he appears to have enough talent to be a franchise quarterback. In a preseason game, the first one, you can't assess all of that, but what you can do is get a feel for how much command he has of the team, of the game, how much dominance he can inflict on the opponent, all of those things. Because remember, this is an oranges to oranges situation, the way that he's playing today. Maybe the opponent is slightly better than what he brings to the table, but not much. So if he holds his own in a fairly even contest, now the intrigue is, well, what if we put him in against better competition, theoretically, the ones from the opponent? So big game, big opportunity for Sanders. If I was advising him, here are the things that I want to see as an evaluator, this is I would tell him to show off. One, show off complete command of the huddle. Get people in and out the huddle, get to the line of scrimmage and go. No delayed game penalties, no pre-snap penalties because you didn't manage the operation correctly. Eliminate that part of the thing. Secondly, take care of the ball and make the plays that are there to be made. Shedeur Sanders doesn't need to put on his cape. He doesn't need to be a superhero, but he needs to make the plays that are there to be made. If he makes those plays, if he does the routine things routinely and continues to always be in a spot, well, then the ball is naturally going to bounce where he has more stuff on his plate. And so he has to just be ready. He has to take advantage of those opportunities, and he has to get the ball into the playmakers and let them work. If he plays within himself, like he appeared to have played watching the clips that have been viral throughout the offseason and the summer, if he just plays within himself, stretches himself when he needs to, but really keeps it right in the fairway, he can swipe this job. It doesn't have to be spectacular, but it has to be steady. And if he can convince Kevin Stefanski and company that he can be steady, he might just slide in the back door and end up being the Browns starting quarterback much sooner than anticipated. Finally, I talked about going to Jacksonville this weekend and having an opportunity to go see Travis Hunter. And I got to say, Travis Hunter, when you look at the odds on FanDuel, Travis Hunter is right there doing exactly what we want. The odds for him in terms of being a 1,000-yard receiver this year, plus 230, very reasonable that he can make that. Got to make sure you check out the FanDuel sports side to see what Travis Hunter is offering and what the payouts are. I'm going to tell you, man, when I'm looking at some of these prop bets, I kind of like where I'm leaning. 1,000 yards would be a yes. I would take that. 75 plus receptions and 2 regular season interceptions to me is reasonable as a two-way player. But yeah, check out the FanDuel Sportsbook. Play some of those odds. It's a different ball game when these guys have the odds on the table. You can make your little cash on the side if you're able to take your expertise and your experience in terms of watching the game and parlay that into something bigger. But Travis Hunter, like the conversation about the two-way player, which is why those odds are remarkable. When I talk to coaches, they talk in Jacksonville, they talk about having a clear plan for how they're going to get him on the field. He is going to be a full-time wide receiver, a part-time DB. Even though Travis Hunter has two-way dreams and ambitions, they're going to scratch those itches for him, but they may do it in a different way than it's been done in high school and in college. Instead of putting him on the field and letting him play 55, 60 snaps on both sides, there's a concerted effort to make him an offensive player and to make him more of a defensive specialist on defense, meaning Travis Hunter comes on the field and he's get off the field moments, 3rd down, red zone, 2-minute, end of game, critical down, mayday, have him on the field. The reason why you want him on the field is you want to take advantage of his ball skills, his length, and everything. It has been a trick for a long time where people have done these things in terms of how you save your players in high school, where you have them go full-time one way and then part-time another way. Where the Jags are basically doing that kind of format to set up Travis Hunter for success. Hey, we're going to let you be a wide receiver, maybe 80% of the snaps. We're going to let you be a defensive back 40 to 50% of the snaps. maybe those total snaps get to 100, but it doesn't overwhelm him like it appeared to maybe overwhelm him a little bit in Colorado. Why would the Jags do this, and how can it benefit them? Well, one, he's special. He's a unicorn in terms of his athleticism and skill set. I can tell you in watching him in practice, I have never seen anybody with this kind of ball skills at wide receiver or at defensive back. Great anticipation, great awareness, great hand-eye coordination, snatches it, plucks it, anything in his area, he is on. He is exceptional in that. Because the Jaguars are going to employ more of a zone-based defense than a man-to-man defense, it's easy to put him in one of those premium positions and tell him, see ball, get ball. Go chase the ball, go get the ball down. Don't think too much about the complexity of the coverage. You just go hunt and make the plays that you've always made. Offensively, the reason why you've seen more time on offense, got to learn how to run the full route tree. Has gotten better, but still is a work in progress in terms of that, which is why he needs more reps on that side while having a pretty good handle on how they want to approach it on the other side. It's going to be fascinating to watch because the ones aren't playing, but there's been some talk that maybe Travis will get a chance to play and play both ways. If he plays both ways, how do they use him? More importantly, how does he engage? Does he tap him on the show, say, hey, man, give me the ball, let me get into this? Or is he okay kind of taking a lesser role, stepping back, but being available in week one? Those are the conversations that the Jags must have. They got to get him some experience on both sides in preseason, but what is that breakdown like? Fascinating discussion because I know how coaches can be territorial about their players. I imagine that in the hallway, it's been some testy conversations between the offensive and defense staff and how to best utilize Travis Hunter. Final point, we're going to talk about Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson has been named the starter for preseason opener for the Indianapolis Colts. Might have been surprising to some who already had penciled Daniel Jones in as the starter. I'm going to tell you, don't erase Daniel Jones' name off the depth chart as QB1. But think of it this way. Anthony Richardson, longtime member of the Colts, he's been going to his third year, has been viewed as the franchise quarterback. You can't dump him before you don't give him an opportunity to show that he can be better. And so what you're doing is you're giving him an opportunity, last chance at the saloon. He gets an opportunity to show everyone that he can direct an offense, he can make calls, he can make throws, he can play at a high level. And even though this is vanilla and this should play to his strengths as a player, an experienced player with athleticism and those things, this defense can complicate matters a little bit in terms of style of play and what they do. So we'll see how he handles it. He has really struggled being on the mark as a passer from the pocket. If he shows improvement from that, maybe that buys him a little more time. But I'm going to be honest. When they brought in Daniel Jones, to me, it appeared that this is eventually going to be his job. I would love to see the competitive nature of the young guy trying to fight for it, but it's going to come down to the evaluation of 2 preseason games. And if you're Anthony Richardson, you need to ace the test by knocking this one today out the park. If he does that, he might have a chance to hold on just a little bit longer to a job that has already been handed out to someone who is a much better fit for Shane Steichen and this offense. So that is the Bucky Brooks Show. We're presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. I gave you some odds on Travis Hunter earlier where I told you, hey, I think that 1,000-yard joint may be good. I also talked about the regular season 75 catches and 2 regular season touchdowns. I got one more for you where you may want to go all in. There is so much intrigue over him. I'm going to say this. If he makes 3 or 4 interceptions this year, there's going to be a line of people that are ready to anoint him as the defensive rookie of the year. Given his odds at plus 1,000, it might be worth a play. Travis Hunter, not only as an offensive rookie of the year candidate, but maybe as a defensive rookie of the year candidate. I would go that way. Until next week, I'm Bucky Brooks. This was the Bucky Brooks Show presented by FanDuel. Make sure you come back next week and check us out. We have more conversation on the heels of watching everybody play this weekend. Should be fascinating to start some of the discussions on how the rosters are going to change now that we got preseason games in the books. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon.